Okay, I'm gonna do change the impeller on this Force 120, and here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna start by bending that tab back down so that I can turn this nut and loosen it. Just bend that right down. Okay, so I can get this nut off. There it is. And we can take this locking tab off. Okay, we take this guy off. Okay, can pull this straight out. There we go. Okay, we can take this guy off. And there's also one right in there. And that's an Allen key. Seems to be 1/4. This one here is 5/8. Okay, I just took this off just so I don't break it. I've left my bolts in there so I know where they go. Okay, so I want to get in here now. If you go up here, you want to disconnect this. There's a little cotter pin there you want to take off, and then watch that the pin here going through doesn't fall out on you. Okay, I've got this cotter pin out now, and now I gotta get this actual pin out from the other side. There's that pin. Not much to it. There's tiny. I'll put my stuff in a baggie, a Ziploc, so I don't lose anything, especially that little pin. Okay, now we're gonna move on and we're gonna undo all these guys on both sides. Okay, these 6 are 1/2 inch. Okay, there's my first one out right there, so you have an idea. Not a whole lot of thread, but a nice long bolt. Okay, I've got all 6 out, and you can see how this has already started to separate. So now pull apart, but watch out because you got a long shaft in here going up. Okay, so I've pulled that down. Here's your water pump. Impeller's in there. You can see this was that little shaft that went up with the pin through it, and the cotter pin that went right here and came up connected there. Okay. I'm gonna pull this out now. You can see the shaft goes right up in there. Okay, so I pulled it out all the way, and this guy came out as well. It fits right on there. Well, don't lose that. Also, be careful about this. This is just almost like a rubbery foam. And this, if you don't put this on properly, your exhaust is gonna get into your engine compartment, so you don't want that on there. I mean, you want to make sure this is put on properly. This is something not right here. That got squished down where it shouldn't have been, apparently. Okay, so you can pull this shaft right out. It just comes out like that. So you can see the bottom of the shaft has that little pin that goes into your water pump. And there's your top. That goes up in there. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to undo, and they are 7/16. And this guy also comes right off. Okay, these are 7/16. This guy at the front is actually 3/8. Okay, I've got this little guy here that comes off. Okay, now this whole thing seems to come right out here. I'm gonna flip it over so we can see. There's gaskets here. This is actually made up of 3 gaskets, which I am not touching. I'm just gonna reuse these gaskets. Okay, so there is your impeller. You gotta get a new one and install a new one. Okay, now when you take that off, make sure you do not lose this guy right here. That's a little locking key. You do not want to lose that. It goes on that flat surface right there. Do not lose that. You can see how this lines up in here, inside your impeller. And that locks that impeller in place. Okay, now go ahead and work out that impeller. Here it is out. I'm assuming it's bad because my water temperature was fine and then it started going right up. So I shut it off and I'm gonna put a new one in. Okay, so I got the old impeller out and I've got the brand new impeller in. This is the one they gave me at the boat store at the marine shop. It's actual Quicksilver. Took a little bit of doing. The guy recommended that I use dish soap, and so I just covered it in dish soap, and it still took a lot of elbow grease to get that in there. Just vein by vein, I was able to twist it and bend these and get that in. And then once it went in, no problem. So now to put this back together, you want to see where that notch is. And you've got to line that up now with this key, right? So you can turn this guy, try and line it up so that when you put that on, that key lines up. Okay, so I've put a little white grease on here just to hold this on, just so that it stays on there, doesn't fall off on me. So I've got that on there now. I think I've got it lined up. And if you need to turn it, you can turn that. Just turn this enough so that that all lines up and locks in place. Okay, I got mine to line up. And now time to put your nuts back on. Okay, make sure you torque these down properly. This little guy, 40 inch-pounds, and these four are 70 inch-pounds. Okay, now reassemble. I'm gonna get this guy on. If the teeth don't line up on the shaft, give this a turn just enough to make it fit. Now if you're worried about this rod going through, what I did was took some fishing line and ran it down through that hole, attached it on the end of this. I just attached the other end on there so I would be able to find it. But anyways, and then I just pulled it through, kept it a little taut, and then I didn't have any problems. But anyways, it'll align that with the hole inside, just in case. Just makes it easier. That way you can, give it a little tug, make sure that goes through. Anyways, tighten her up. Okay, don't forget your cotter pin. Don't forget this guy. And get your prop back on. And don't forget to bend your tabs up. Okay, well, mine's all back together. And I just fired it up and seems to be working.